The U.S. didn't find Mexico's most wanted cartel boss by accident. They tracked his girlfriend. That breadcrumb led to one of the most intense joint military operations in recent history, a mission that ended with the death of Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, founder of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the CJNG. But here's the twist. Killing him didn't end the violence. It ignited a nationwide narco-insurgency. And what's happening now on the U.S.-Mexico border should concern everyone. Let's break it down. For years, El Mencho was at the top of both Mexico's and America's most wanted lists. The CJNG wasn't just another cartel. It became one of the two dominant criminal empires in Mexico, competing directly with the Sinaloa Cartel for territory, routes, and global trafficking dominance. This is the group responsible for industrial-scale fentanyl production, mass graves across rural Mexico, shooting down a Mexican military helicopter with a rocket launcher, attempted assassinations of top government officials. U.S. intelligence reportedly mapped out his inner circle for years. Financial trails, communications intercepts, biometric data, family movements. Eventually, surveillance focused on someone close to him, his romantic partner, who unknowingly became the weak link. That data pointed to a hideout near Tapalpa, and that's when Washington and Mexico City made a decision. The United States deployed its Joint Interagency Task Force focused on counter-cartel operations, a mix of military intelligence, federal law enforcement, and surveillance specialists. Mexico deployed special forces units and army elements. And this wasn't new cooperation. The two countries worked together during the capture of Joaquin Guzman, El Chapo. But what's different now? The level of operational integration. U.S. officials confirmed supplementary intelligence was provided in real time. Mexican defense officials acknowledged bilateral coordination at a higher intensity than usual. This was a trust fall at 10,000 feet. As Mexican forces closed in, aerial surveillance spotted cartel gunmen armed with belt-fed machine guns, rocket-propelled grenade launchers, armored narco vehicles. Attack helicopters moved in for close air support. When ground teams advanced, a firefight erupted. Automatic gunfire echoed through the hills. Helicopters unleashed suppressive fire. Troops maneuvered, boxed in the gunmen, and forced them into open terrain with little cover. 8 cartel sicarios were killed. El Mencho was wounded and died en route to medical care. 3 Mexican soldiers were injured. For a moment, it looked like victory. It wasn't. Within hours, CJNG cells mobilized. This wasn't random chaos. It was coordinated retaliation. Over 250 roadblocks across 20 states. Hijacked vehicles set on fire. Businesses torched. Highways blocked with heavy machinery. Civilians trapped in crossfire. The governor of Jalisco issued a code red. Public transportation halted. Residents were ordered to shelter in place. Rumors even circulated about an attack on Guadalajara International Airport, later determined false, but the fear alone nearly shut down one of Mexico's largest air hubs. That's the power of psychological warfare. Here's what most people miss. The CJNG isn't just a drug trafficking organization anymore. They diversified. Since around 2018, cartel fuel theft, known locally as huachicol, exploded. Cartels hijacked tanker trucks, tapped into pipelines, bribed refinery workers, built shadow logistics networks. Fuel theft became so profitable that it rivaled drug revenue. And that matters because fentanyl prices have dropped dramatically over the past 2 years due to oversupply and competition. When your drug margins shrink, you pivot. Energy theft gave them billions in alternative revenue. Money equals weapons. Money equals loyalty. Money equals the ability to wage insurgent-style warfare. Meanwhile, the U.S.-Mexico border is facing a new battlefield reality. Cartel drones now conduct thousands of incursions per month. Most are surveillance platforms mapping Border Patrol movements. But the concern? Weaponization. Cartels have already used drones to drop explosives inside Mexico. The leap from reconnaissance to offensive capability isn't theoretical. Recently, an unidentified object crossing into U.S. airspace near El Paso was shot down. Initial confusion ranged from party balloon to small craft to cartel drone. The airport temporarily shut down. That's unprecedented. We're seeing a gray zone conflict emerging. Not full-scale war, but something beyond organized crime. Intelligence reports indicate criminal groups have circulated bounty structures targeting American law enforcement. Payment for doxing agents, higher payouts for kidnapping, even higher for assassination. That's not street crime behavior. That's insurgency logic. And the CJNG has already demonstrated military-level tactics. In 2020, gunmen ambushed Mexico City's security chief, Omar Garcia Harfuch, using grenades, coordinated crossfire, and .50 caliber rifles. He survived. 2 bodyguards didn't. They've shot down aircraft. They've attacked convoys with heavy machine guns. This isn't just narco-trafficking, it's hybrid warfare. Washington has increasingly pressured Mexico to act aggressively against cartel leadership. Trade leverage, tariff threats, security pressure. Mexico's current administration historically preferred a hugs not bullets strategy, avoiding kingpin targeting to prevent violent backlash. But this operation suggests a shift. The message was clear. The era of tolerating cartel parallel governance may be ending. Over 23,000 homicides were reported in Mexico in 2025. Murders officially dropped. Disappearances rose. That discrepancy raises questions. At the same time, U.S. investment strategy increasingly sees Mexico as a manufacturing alternative to China. But you cannot nearshore supply chains into instability. Cartel power directly impacts geopolitical competition. This is no longer just about drugs. It's about energy, trade routes, supply chains, airspace, border sovereignty. Historically, removing a kingpin creates a power vacuum, internal fragmentation, increased violence, or consolidation under a more ruthless successor. We saw this after the capture of El Chapo's son in 2019, when hundreds of gunmen flooded Culiacan and forced authorities to release him. The difference now? The U.S. is more directly involved, and that changes the escalation ladder. Tracking a cartel boss through his girlfriend sounds like a movie plot, but it triggered something very real. This isn't just cartel violence anymore. It's evolving into a low-intensity cross-border conflict where criminal networks operate like paramilitary forces with diversified revenue streams, drone fleets, energy infiltration, and political influence. The question isn't whether this ends soon. The question is whether the United States and Mexico can dismantle a parallel power structure that now spans drugs, oil, drones, and territory. Because if they can't, the next escalation won't just shut down highways. It could shut down cities. Kindly subscribe to this channel for more information.